Welcome back. Today, we're taking the time this book deserves, a full 12-minute investigation into hubris by Johannes Krauss and Thomas Trapper. We'll explore how our DNA, the very thing that made us rulers of the planet, might also be the blueprint for our potential downfall. Chapter 1. Lab-Grown Humans. Johannes Krauss takes us into the heart of modern archaeogenetics, where the past is literally being grown. Scientists are growing Neanderthalized human brain cells in dishes to find the spark that made sapiens different from our cousins. Krauss notes, a mere 90 genetic differences distinguish modern humans from Neanderthals. That's 90 flips in 20,000 genes. These tiny tweaks likely gave us the edge in abstract thinking and complex social cooperation that Neanderthals may have lacked. By decoding the Neanderthal genome, Krauss isn't just looking at history, he's looking at the biological foundation of our species. This research shows that our dominance wasn't inevitable. It was a genetic accident that we've capitalized on for millennia. It's the story of how we stepped out from the shadow of other hominins to become the sole masters of the globe. But as we'll see, the same adaptability that saved us then is being tested today like never before. Chapter 2. Famine. For the vast majority of our history, life was defined by one thing: the constant, looming threat of starvation. Famine was the primary driver of human evolution and migration. It forced us to move, to innovate, and to adapt or die. This era of scarcity hardwired our DNA for relentless expansion. We are biologically programmed to consume and colonize. Our ancestors survived genetic bottlenecks that reduced our population to a few thousand. Every one of us is a survivor of lack. But Krauss points out the fatal flaw. The genetic blueprint that enabled us to get where we are today didn't factor in planetary boundaries. We live in a world of relative abundance, yet our Stone Age DNA still screams for more, driving us toward ecological collapse. The hubris lies in assuming the Earth's resources are as infinite as our drive to consume them. We are hitting the walls. The question Krauss poses is whether we can override this ancient hunger before we exhaust the very planet that feeds us. Chapter 3. Planet of the Apes. We forget that for most of our existence, we shared the planet with several other human species. Neanderthals, Denisovans, and others were our peers. This chapter explores why Homo sapiens became the last ones standing. It wasn't just biological superiority, it was our social networking. Sapiens formed larger, more flexible groups than our cousins. Most branches on our family tree were evolutionary dead ends. We were the lucky ones who narrowly avoided the same fate. Our victory came through culture and communication, the ability to share myths and ideas across vast distances. But our success also led to the extinction of our peers. We effectively made a clean sweep of the hominin world. The hubris here is the belief that we are fundamentally separate from the rest of the animal kingdom. We are still apes. Understanding our ape nature is key to reining in the destructive impulses that now threaten our very home. Chapter 4. Apocalypse. Ancient DNA research isn't just about bones. It's about the microscopic killers that lived on them. Pathogens have repeatedly acted as apocalypses for human populations, checking our expansion through brutal resets. Events like the Black Death decimated Europe, but also forced us to adapt genetically and societally. We are products of plague. Krauss uses DNA to trace the history of diseases like leprosy and the plague, showing how they traveled our migration routes. This chapter warns that our technological hubris makes us think we've conquered nature, but biological resets are always possible. We are currently facing an existential crisis that threatens to overwhelm us, and the past shows us how fragile civilization truly is. The past apocalypses weren't just ends, they were beginnings. The question is whether we can survive the next one. Humanity's resilience is remarkable, but we shouldn't test nature's limits too far. Hubris always meets its match. Chapter 5. A clean sweep. This is the story of how Homo sapiens became a truly global species, conquering every continent. Our arrival in new lands often coincided with the mass extinction of megafauna. We cleared the way for our own dominance. We crossed oceans and land bridges, driven by a biological imperative to expand that we still haven't turned off. This marked our transition into a geological force. We stopped just living in environments and started shaping them. The clean sweep wasn't just about other hominins, it was about any species that stood in the way of our expansion. We became masters of the planet long before we understood its limits. We expanded first and asked questions later. This global footprint is the ultimate manifestation of our hubris, the belief that the world is ours to sweep clean. Krauss warns that our success in this sweep has left us with no more frontiers to conquer, only boundaries to respect. Chapter 6. Enchanted Forests. For thousands of years, the forest was our world. It provided everything we needed to survive. It was both a supermarket and a cathedral. Our ancestors lived in a deep spiritual harmony with these ancient woodlands. The enchantment refers to the awe and mystery these forests inspired, shaping our earliest myths and cultural beliefs. But we've severed this bond. The hubris began when we viewed the forest not as a home, but as a resource to be cleared. Our pursuit of progress led us to destroy the very ecosystems that nurtured our development for eons. We now live in an urban world, largely isolated from the natural systems that still, fundamentally, support our lives. Krauss reminds us of this lost intimacy, urging us to find a way to re-enchant our relationship with the natural world. The forest was where we became human. If we lose the forests, we lose a part of ourselves. We must remember our roots. Chapter 7, Elites. The agricultural revolution didn't just change our diet, it changed our entire social structure. Surplus food meant some people didn't have to farm. This led to the birth of hierarchy and the first elite classes. Ancient DNA allows Krauss to track these powerful lineages, families that held power for generations across vast regions. We see the emergence of social inequality, where power and wealth were concentrated in the hands of a few. The hubris here is the codification of the belief that some humans are inherently superior to others by birth. This stratification allowed for organized progress and massive projects, but it created the disparities we still struggle with. Krauss explores how these elite genetic signatures spread, showing how power dynamics shaped the movement of populations. Hierarchy is a human invention, a cultural adaptation that has become a permanent feature of our hubristic civilization. Chapter 8, Beyond the Horizon. Humanity has an insatiable drive to see what's on the other side of the hill or the ocean. Early explorers crossed thousands of miles of open water, navigating solely by the stars and the currents. Incredible audacity. From the remote Pacific Islands to the frozen Arctic, we pushed into every habitable corner of the planet. This relentless curiosity is hardwired into our very existence. Discovery is what defines us as sapiens. Now we look toward other planets. But Krauss cautions that our expansionist drive might destroy our first home. The hubris lies in assuming there will always be a new world to colonize once we've exhausted this one. We have never accepted limitations, but the ultimate horizon is the one that says, this far and no further. Our challenge is to learn that true exploration can also be internal, understanding our own limits before it's too late. Chapter 9, The Steppe Highway. The vast grasslands of Eurasia served as a superhighway for genes, culture, and ideas. The Bronze Age saw massive migrations of pastoralists like the Yamnaya, who reshaped the genetic landscape of Europe and Asia. These people brought horses, chariots, and Indo-European languages. They fundamentally changed the world in a few generations. It shows the transformative power of mobility and technology, but it also shows the beginning of large-scale warfare. Krauss uses DNA to track these steppe genes in modern populations, showing that we are all much more mixed than we think. The hubris here is the desire to dominate not just nature, but other tribes and nations. The steppe was a highway for conquest. This era laid the foundations for the modern geopolitical world, proving that technology and movement are unstoppable forces. The steppe highway reminds us that our history is one of constant interaction, mixing, and the pursuit of power over distance. Chapter 10, Homo Hubris. In the 20th century, the transformation was complete. Homo sapiens became Homo Hubris. We achieved unprecedented technological power, but failed to account for the finite limits of our planetary home. Our blueprint, optimized for expansion and consumption, is now our greatest threat. We are hitting the walls. Krauss asserts, while our intelligence and creativity are products of genetic evolution, we can decide how to use them. If we choose the path of destruction, to paraphrase Shakespeare, the fault is not in our DNA, but in ourselves. The book is a call to action. We are not prisoners of our evolutionary history. We have the agency to change our path. Can we learn to live within planetary limits? Or will our DNA-driven impulse to expand lead to our extinction? Johannes Krause gives us the map of where we've been. It's up to us to decide where we go next. Hubris is our warning. This 12-minute deep dive has shown us the incredible resilience and the dangerous ambition of our species. Hubris is essential reading for anyone who wants to understand our past to protect our future. Thank you for joining me. Let's choose the path of wisdom over the path of destruction. Act today for a sustainable tomorrow. Good luck. Hubris, The Rise, Fall, and Future of Humanity. Johannes Krause and Thomas Trapper. Read it today. For more in-depth reviews and historical insights, follow this channel. See you in the next investigation. Our history is written in our genes, but our future is written by our choices. Choose well. Thank you for watching this 12-minute deep dive. Let's build a future we can all live in. I'm Rahul. This has been our review of Hubris. Until next time, stay curious and stay wise. Goodbye.